Joining us now to give us an update on the Eskom investigation and the progress being made in particular cases, we are joined by the spokesperson for the SIU, Kaizer Kganyago. Dr. Kganyago, good evening and thank you very much for your time and joining us tonight here on In Focus. We are going to look at civil litigation, disciplinary action, prosecutions and some of the referrals that you've done on the number of cases. But let's start with Proclamation R18 of 2018 and the status particularly on the procurement of coal. From what I am seeing, 5 mines that you're looking at, 4 are still ongoing, only 1 finalized since 2018. Why is it taking so long?
Thank you very much, Thabo, and thank you to your viewers. It is taking too long because there has been a lot of interest that is shown by the employees of Eskom and sometimes board members and executives who wanted to benefit out of these processes, and that is what brought this mines to be happening in this slow pace, because they were inflating prices and they were increasing the number of work that needed to be done instead of finalizing, for example, transportation. They would then get some of the coal from mines that are very far from the power station, so that they can benefit from their contracts for their friends in relation to transportation costs that they do. Therefore, all of those things are the things that we have found have contributed to the delay in this contracts.
So let's lock in on that Tegeta Brakfontein matter. You know, the big question is, of course, around the quality of the coal that we're getting. But also there are some who are saying there are these evergreen contracts that are continuing to be there, which are not being scrutinized. Have you been looking at those particular claims and that kind of input that has been coming in?
Yes, we have. We have found that there were instances where it was very clear that the quality of the coal, like in this Tegeta issue, the quality of the coal was not in the one that Eskom wants for their, not only for the power that they want to generate, but also for the machinery that they are using. But the officials continued in a corrupt manner to work with people who wanted to buy that mine and make sure that we enter into contracts that are long-standing contracts at the cost of the coal that is supposed to be the coal that Eskom wants. They know that it is low quality, but they are charging the prices that are there, which are like for the coal that is supposed to be given. And they did all they could to make sure that they deliver those, because they were benefiting at the back.
And what action has been taken? Has anyone been disciplined? Has any civil litigation been instituted? Has any prosecution referrals been done here?
Definitely. When we were giving the report today, we were categorizing it. We were saying the first part was the issue of conflict of interest. And in that case, the Eskom, we have referred 135 people to Eskom to discipline because of the fact that they were doing business with Eskom and they had conflict of interest either through their relatives or friends and people that they are related to. And of those 135, 14 of them have been referred to the NPA for prosecution. And then we had another section that was dealing with declaration of interest. We were looking at whether the people at Eskom were declaring their interest, and we found 5,452 of the officials did not declare their interest, and they were sent to the Eskom for disciplinary. And out of that, Eskom has only finalized 3,875 of those. And because it is in this one, there is no criminality, we haven't sent anything to the NPA. In as far as this coal that we are talking about, we only sent 1 person for disciplinary to the Eskom, but 15 individuals and companies were sent to the NPA for them to be disciplinary. You have heard the names of the people that are there, that were said by Mr. Lekgetho today, and you did that in your opening clip. In as far as build projects, we sent 14 people for disciplinary, and then 73 individuals and companies for NPA prosecution. And then in terms of SEP, we have 6 individuals and companies that were sent for prosecution. Therefore, a lot has been done in that regard.
Yeah, let's go a little bit slower then. On the transportation investigation, what were your findings on the commodity logistics manager's contract? I think 2 of the employees could have been receiving funds there. What was actually happening? And what is the sophisticated way in which this has been disguised so that, I suppose, in a sense, trying to get away from the eyes of the authorities?
Yes, there were 2 things that they were doing. When they dealt with the issue of transportation, we found that what they would do is they will then ask the mines, the mines to inflate the prices of the coal to include transportation, so that they can then be in a position to then have their friends or the companies that are related to them enter into contracts with those mines, not directly with Eskom, with the mines, so that when the payments are done, that amount of transportation is not visible to Eskom. Therefore, Eskom would not see that some of the employees were benefiting out of such transaction. In some of the instances, they will then when they know that the quality of the coal that needs to be transported is not the right quality, they charge on the price of the right quality, but when they have to transport, they then put in quality that is lower in the transportation system so that it goes there. And then they make sure that, because in terms of the way they are doing business, the trucks are supposed to be tracked all the way, but then they don't put the tracking of those trucks on so that they can via places where they are able to collect the low quality stock and then take it to Eskom. Therefore, in principle, they would have paid less, and then for transportation also, they will benefit out of it. And that is how they were trying to benefit out of this. And they made a lot of money. And the companies were paying them, and they were hiding this monies by paying school fees for children and so on and so on.
Yeah, and I mean, is there an estimate, a number, a quantum that you can give us? How much money would these employees make out of these contracts?
It's a very difficult one, but if you look at because there are different contracts that we're dealing with, but they were making millions and millions, because in some of these instances, you would find people who have bought farms with this money, they have bought houses, they have, like with the Mr. Tlakudi, for example, they have bought farms, they've bought houses, and because of the money that they got from Stefano, that company called Stefanati or something like that.
Yes, Stefano's stock, and that is as a consortium, yeah?
It's a very difficult one to get, but so far we have realized that they benefited a lot out of this transaction, because they were eating from the side of transportation. They were also eating on the sale of the coal itself. But also what people need to understand, it is not only the profit that they make. This low quality coal that they give was not good for the machinery of Eskom, and that is why the machinery of Eskom ended up breaking down. And that is the one part. And the other part that is problematic, because they for example, they would say, we are going to build Kusile in a place where there is a mine next to Kusile, so that we can have a conveyor belt to get the coal directly into the power station. But only to find that there is no mine nearby. Therefore, the trucks, about 7,000 trucks, have to go into the mine every day. And that has got a repercussion on the road networks. The tar roads are going to suffer in the process.
Kaizer Kganyago, as always, much appreciated for your time. Thanks so much for coming on tonight. Spokesperson for the SIU there, that Kaizer Kganyago.